All right, Jose, I'll help you out right after. Okay, guys? So let's go. Make sure your cameras are on when we start this. Oh, now it worked, Jose. You're good. Make sure your cameras are on. And let's go to chapter 2. All right, so make sure, guys, we are on page 16. And we're going to go over rights in real estate. All right. So, rights in real estate. And if you guys, again, if you have any questions, you have the Zoom chat. If you're watching live on YouTube, you have the YouTube chat, right? You can always ask questions. Is there anyone that doesn't have the book or doesn't have these chapters? If you need me to send the chapter, let me know on the Zoom chat. I'll send you a copy of the chapter right now. All right, so rights in real estate. First of all, what are rights? Rights is something that you cannot take away from me. It's different than privileges, right? Or licenses. So a license, like a driver's license, you can take it from me if I misbehave. If I get a bunch of tickets or whatever, you can take it away, right? A right is something that cannot be taken from you. It's my right to do this or do that, right? So we're going to go over real estate as property. Real versus personal property. There's a huge difference between these. Real versus personal property. And the regulation of real property interests. So, under real estate as property, it says a simple definition of real estate is that it's air, water, land, and everything affixed to the land. Real estate in the United States may be owned privately by individuals or private entities, or publicly by government entities. Private ownership rights in this country are not absolute. The government can impose taxes, as you guys know, right? And restrictions on private ownership. So the government can restrict on what you can and cannot do with your property, even though it's your property. It could also take the private property away altogether. We'll talk about it. It's eminent domain. In addition, other private parties can exert their rights and interests on one's real estate. A bank, for instance, can take a property if the owner fails to pay the mortgage. Called foreclosure. Everybody knows this, right? A neighbor can claim the right to walk across one's property, whether the owner likes it or not. Hello, you made it here. All right. Did you check in? You were able to check in already? Okay. Now, in attempting, do you have me on speaker? Hold on, we have somebody on Zoom and in class at the same time. Turn off the Zoom real quick. It's giving some feedback. Got it? You're still there. You have to end the call. Yeah, otherwise it does the echo thing. That's it, you're out. Okay, cool. A neighbor can claim the right to walk across one's property, whether the owner likes it or not, provided he or she has done so for a certain number of years. Now, in attempting to define real estate, it is essential to understand what rights and interests parties have in the parcel of real estate. And to understand real estate interests, one must first recognize the distinctions between land and real estate and property, and real property and personal property. All right? So one thing you guys are going to notice, there's a lot of instructors out there that just go through PowerPoints. I read it with you, right? But I don't just read. I'm going to give you examples. In fact, I also have already highlighted for you a few things, which I recommend. If you have the PDF, you don't have to highlight, but put a note next to it, right? Because whatever's in yellow is most likely going to be in the exam. Whatever's in green, right? It's definitely in the exam, right? And the reason why I say it doesn't mean you don't have to read the other stuff that's not highlighted. You do have to, and that's why I go through it with you, right? But these are the things that I've found over the years to be heavier in the exams, right? And by level, right? So if it's not highlighted, still read, highlight it, put a little bit extra focus. If it's highlighted in green, extra focus, because there will be a question surrounding it, okay? Guaranteed. So, the legal concept of land. Legal concept of land encompasses, so if we're talking about land by itself, it encompasses the surface of the earth, so it's the surface area of the earth, okay? Everything beneath the surface, extending downward to the center, and then everything above it as well. Now, one of the things that distinguishes, mainly for when you look at the question in the state exam, one of the things that distinguishes real estate from land is this one. Land has nothing that's man-made. Land has only natural things attached to it. All right, sorry, I'm just addressing a question on YouTube. So, Jose, are you using the 14th edition of the Dearborn book? No, I'm not. I used to use the Dearborn book before. I actually moved on, not Jose on Zoom, Jose on YouTube. I know you're used to be on the other side. I used to use the Dearborn editions. I switched to this one. I think it's a lot easier to go through, more direct to the point than the Dearborn edition. And it clearly separates the national portion from the state portion, where the Dearborn edition has everything blended. Okay. But if you want, Jose on YouTube, if you want to ever go through the Dearborn edition on the YouTube channel that you're watching this, I do have a playlist of all the chapters that are from Dearborn, right? It's the 13th edition, minor changes. So if you want to go back to those, you can. If you want to ask questions as we go through this, this should be your chapter 5 or chapter 6 in the Dearborn edition. So something similar to that. All right. Now, land, therefore, includes minerals beneath the Earth's surface, water on or below the Earth's surface, the air above the surface. That's land. In addition, land includes all plants attached to the ground or in ground, such as trees and grass. A parcel of land or tract of land is a portion of land delineated by boundaries. I'll address that better in a different chapter. And land has physical characteristics that are unique to it. Okay? Land is immobile. What does that mean? It means you cannot grab land and move it somewhere else. Can I get a piece of Houston, Texas and bring it to Jersey? I could bring dirt, but not the land location. Okay? The only way to destroy land, right, and move it here is if I go all the way to the core. Right? Like an apple, right? And you're trying to take the apple pit, you put that tool and rip it out. That's the only way I could destroy land. So I cannot move it for that reason. I would have to destroy it and be able to take it out and put somewhere else. Also, is heterogeny or non-homogeneous that land has as a characteristic says no two parcels of land are the same. All right? And here's the thing. How do we define land? I already told you. It's the surface of the earth, right? Everything below, everything above, and all natural things, natural, so nature only, attached to it, right? But can I have two pieces of land that are exactly the same? I got two pieces of land, 25 by 25. Are these exactly the same? Property A, property B. Are these the same? Make sure you guys answer on the chat real quick. And whoever's here, answer directly. Are these the same, Susanna? Eric, are these the same? Francis, are these the same?
19.
Huh? Are they the same? What I drew here, are they the same? Some people are saying no. Monifa says yes. Marlon says yes. YouTubers, what do you guys think? I have 4 people on YouTube. They're not the same, Susanna? Why? Aren't they both 25 by 25 in terms of area? Right? Same thing, right? But there's a huge difference that everybody forgets. Location. Thank you, Marlon. Location. So let's say this is Adams Avenue. Okay? Sorry. And let's say this is Main Street. The lot size is the same. The lot size. But property A is at the corner while property B is not. Okay? They could be the same size. They can have, both properties can have a 2-family structure on it. Right? Exactly the same design. 3-bedroom, 2-bath per unit, garage, everything. Right? Everything exactly the same. But the fact that this property is at the corner automatically gives a different value to it. Okay? Exactly. If there was another property, 25 by 25, property C, it would also have a different value than the property B. Why? Because again, it's a different location. Okay? I don't know if you guys ever heard this, but the main thing, the main characteristics of real estate, right? What gives value to real estate is location, location, location. So where it's located gives value. Some people might want to live next to the busy street or Main Street, right? Some people want to be away from Main Street. I want to be as quiet as possible. If this is a dead end and that's my house, I'm happy because nobody goes into a dead end. Does that make sense? So there's no traffic, different values. Okay? So guys, when we're talking about real estate, when we're talking about land, I'm sorry, there's no 2 parcels of the land that are the same. They all have different location at least. Okay? Eric, are you okay? Any questions? You can always ask questions. If you want to get closer, you can too. I see you're having a little difficulty. I can't give you my glasses because then I don't see anybody. And they're all going to be happy and disappear off camera because now I don't see them anyway. No, I just took my allergies. The allergies, I can't wear the contacts. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. All right. You guys good so far? Give me a thumbs up if you're good at home. Great. All right. Cool. So now we're going to talk about real estate. What is real estate? So we talked about land by itself, right? We're going to talk about real estate. What is the difference between land and real estate? See, real estate is exactly the same as land, but you add something to it. Okay? Real estate has something added to it. Anything that's man-made structure. All right? Real estate, the biggest difference between land by itself and real estate is man-made structures. Okay? Why is this important? We're on page 17. Page 17, real estate. Okay? So what is the biggest difference? Jose just wrote improvements. Yes, we call these improvements. Absolutely. This is when we start adding buildings, wells, sewers, sidewalks, the house, yes, the garage, paving it, right? Think about a parking lot. If it's a paved parking lot, who paved it? Was it nature? Did nature do it? No, somebody did. A human being did, right? So what's the difference between land and real estate? The improvements. When you look at the question, if the question does not talk about anything that could be done by a person, then that definition is land. If you see something in the question that says, hey, there's a sewer line, or there's a water line, or there's a garage, or there's paving, anything that humans do, right? Then this is considered real estate, okay? So the key thing to look at is man-made structures, okay? Real estate. Let me know if you guys have questions on that before I move forward. Okay. All right, cool. We got 3 people on YouTube still watching. If you have questions, please ask. And you guys at home, please ask questions. And you guys here, ask questions. Very, very important. Asking questions doesn't matter if you think it's a dumb question, or if you think you're English, or if you think you're whatever it might be. Just ask the question. Because if you don't ask, then you'll never know the answer. Simple. Yes. That's fine. If you have to say it in a different language, like Susanna's going to do right now, right? I will try my best in case I do not know your language. I will try my best. Right now it's Portuguese, so I'm going to be good with this one. Give it a try.
Every time all that classes you talk. Now I see and what do you mean and?
Exactly that. Yeah, terreno. Land.
Land. Eu fui ver agora, é terreno, é então, sim, mas why aqui está a dizer o conceito legal de real estate engloba ou encompasses é o quê? Engloba. Está
Yep. So real estate is land and everything that's built on the land or added to the land.
Se faz em cima do terreno.
Exactly.
Se te fazem, if in the exam I have a question, what the legal concept of real estate, if put land or need the both, right? For complete.
Yeah, it needs both.
The both.
This is raw land. So we're going back, I'm sorry, to page 16. This is raw land. Nature only. Okay? Raw land is undeveloped land. As you came to the world. You came to the world naked without any type of clothes, right?
Okay.
That's land. Once you started adding clothes, it might be an improvement. Not all clothes look good, so I'm just saying. Just like not all buildings to the land look good. Francis, do you have a question there? You got stuck on the baby? Make sure you ask questions. I know, something like that. Make sure you ask questions, please. So land or terrain, as you're asking, to give the direct translation of the question I had. Land is just that piece of land, and I'm going to move forward and come back, right? But if you go to page 18, you have land. So in the state exam, if the land is something like this in the question, oh, there's trees, there's bushes, there's water, right? It doesn't show anything that could be man-made, right? Then the answer is land only, okay? Because it's nature only, okay? It becomes real estate. It becomes real estate once we have the man-made attachments. It could be the house, it could be the sewer pipes, it could be the garage we build, it could be crops, which is where you cultivate, right? Because now it's not nature cultivating, it's you that go and put the seeds there, so then later on you can take it out, right? So anything that's a man-made structure, okay? Whether underneath, like the doghouse. Yes, Jose. The doghouse as well. Okay. Now we know where he spends the the evenings. You're in the doghouse. So the doghouse as well. If you built outside and it's part of the land now, attached to the land, it becomes real estate, right? And what I want you guys to remember for this is that estate, right? Actually, I want to ask somebody, what does this word mean? Can anybody tell me what this word means? Estate? Nope, that's why I always ask what it means. Don't search. Don't search. I want to know if you know what it means. I'll give you the answer. I don't want you to search yet. Not state. Estate. That's state. I know, English is not easy. We have estate, we have state, and we have statute. And statutes. Okay. All right, YouTube Jose and Rob Da Silva for the win. Assets. But I also got to give it to Philip. Assets, right? It's property. Something we own. Property, something we own. So real estate is something we own, a property we own and we occupy. Okay? Now, why do I make this distinction when it comes to land and real estate? Why do I make this distinction? For you to know it's an asset. Because land is just land, it's there, right? Are you going to build a house on somebody else's land? Right? No. Melissa's like, nope, of course not. I would never, right? Well, here's the thing. That means that you're purchasing the land in order to build it, correct? Okay? So that real property, whatever you're building, becomes your estate or your assets. And when you die, you can leave the assets to your survivors. That's why we have something called estate sale. You ever heard of this? Estate sale? Because when somebody dies, whatever they owned, you can pass it along, right? Estate is ownership. It's possession, something that's in your possession that you can pass it along to somebody, okay? So the word estate means assets or property that you own, okay? Somebody owns it. It's real estate. It's owned by somebody because somebody went there and built it, okay? Land is raw land. Sorry? It's something you can sell because you own it. Yep. Good. All right. So with that, we go to property. Property. So in common understanding, property is something that is owned by someone. Simple. This phone is my property. Mine. Okay? This mouse right here is property of the school. Not mine. I'm the owner of the school, but it's not mine. It's owned by the school. Does that make sense? So you need to legally know what belongs to whom, right? So a car is property of Bill Brown if Bill Brown owns the car. If the item is not owned, then it's not property. For example, if the car is abandoned and left to rust in the desert, the car is no longer property because it was abandoned, right? Just like finding $100 on the floor. If they never come back for it, those $100 are no longer theirs, they now become whose? No, mine. If you find it, it's mine. I lost it somewhere. Why are you pointing like, oh, mine? No. It's $100. It's mine. It has my name on it. You guys ever find $100 anywhere? Or more? Right? Less than that, don't worry. Just buy me lunch or coffee or something. But if you find more than $100, I want the cash. It's mine. I've been losing it somewhere. But yeah, if nobody claims ownership, then it's abandoned. Right? Similarly, planet Jupiter is not property since no one owns it. Not that we know, at least. Right? From a technical standpoint, property is not the only item that is owned, but also a set of rights to the item enjoyed by the owner. Okay? When you own property, you also have rights that come with it. Okay? Some of the rights are, for instance, if this is mine, can I sell it to somebody else or gift it to somebody else? If this is mine, right? Can I let you use it or rent it, for instance? Sure, because it's mine. Can somebody else rent what's mine? Unless I gave that authority, no. Right? So when we own something, it comes with a bundle of rights. And these bundle of rights, you guys got to remember, is the right to possess, not like a ghost. It's possess, I'm the ghost already here. It's possess, like have it in your possession, right? The right to use, right? I can make calls from my phone. The right to exclude, saying, no, 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 you're not going to use it. You're not going to enter here. It's mine, right? The right to transfer, meaning I can gift or sell to somebody else or leave it in a will, for instance. And the right to encumber. We're going to talk about this later, but encumber, it's a cloud. All right? I'll explain it later. But these are the fundamental rights that you have when you own something. Okay? Fundamental rights you have when you own something. Do not go look for encumber. I'll explain later. We got time. But I will explain. I will. And you'll understand it. I will get there. Guys, if you have to search words, let me know and I'll tell you when I'm going to address them. Right now, I'm just giving you info. I will explain. All right. In owning property, all because I want your attention to be here. If I move forward and you're still searching something, that's a problem because now I have to repeat things, right? If you have questions, you just tell me stop, explain again, and I'll let you know if it's now is the right time or if it's coming up later, okay? So in owning one property, one has the right to possess and use it as the law allows it. The owner has the right to transfer ownership of the item, so I can sell, rent, donate, assign, or bequeath, which is leave it to as a legacy to somebody. The owner has a right to encumber, again, the item by mortgaging it as collateral for debt. And finally, the owner has the right to exclude others from use or from entering the property. In the example of the car, if Bill Brown bought the car became his property. He owned the car itself. At the same time, he also acquired the legal right to transfer, use, encumber, exclude, and possess the car. So when you buy something, those rights are transferred to you. It's now yours to use. All right? As far as classifications of property, we have real property and we have personal property. What is property? Again, something you own. What differences do we have? Real property, personal property. Those are the only two classifications. It's either real property you own or personal property you own. Okay? Real property ownership has to do with real estate and the rights associated with owning real estate. So when you see real property, I own land or a house on the land. Okay? When we talk about personal property, it's ownership of anything which is not real estate and the rights associated with owning the personal item. Items of personal property, let me clear this. Items of personal property are also called chattels or personalty. So if it's personal property, it's called chattel. So for instance, this is my phone. My phone is personal property. A mouse is personal property. Okay? This pen right here is personal property. This mug is personal property. Okay? What is the difference between personal property and real property? The biggest difference is that real property is the wall. Okay? Real property is the structure. Real property is the land, and land cannot be moved. Right? Personal property, everything that can be moved. Simple as that. If it's movable, it's personal. Okay? If it's immovable, if you can't move it at all, it's real property. Okay? So, we call personal property chattels, or chattels if you want to sound fancy. Make it put a little French tone into it, right? And one way to remember is cattle. Does anybody know what cattle is? Cattle? Let me know if you know what cattle is. Don't all answer at the same time, okay? Just one of you. Cattle. If I'm going too fast, also tell me to stop, okay? Nobody knows what cattle is? Did Zoom freeze? Philip Johnson says cow. Okay, great. So cattle, cows, right? Now, Philip, since you were the one that answered, you're going to tell me what sound does the cow make? You want the microphone? I can give you the microphone. All right. The cow goes moo. And they move. Doesn't the cow move? All right. So when you see chattels in the state exam, see chattels associated with cattle. God. Okay? God. Associated with chattels, right? With cattle, which is the cows, and they go moo, right? So it's something that's movable. It's one way to remember. And by the way, we're gonna have a lot of stupid jokes, a lot of stupid comparisons, but sometimes that's what helps. Ace Gilbert says all the time that that's what makes him remember stuff. My bad jokes, right, Gilbert? Yes. Eric, I'm gonna get you glasses. Just get closer. Get one table closer. He's gonna make me buy a bigger TV to put here. He's going like, huh? Then he's gonna say at the end, Bruno, I did not pass because I couldn't read. Francis, you okay? So quiet, head down. Time to talk. All right. So, guys, what's the difference between personal property and real property? Who can tell me? Difference between personal property and real property.
Real property. Everything you can move.
Can or can't?
Real
Real property.
No. The personal, everything you can move. Like watch, my glasses, everything you can move. Real, everything you can move. Like
Correct.
Land, walls.
Perfect. That's it. So personal property, everything you can move, right? Or shift from one place to another. And real property, so that's personal property, and real property, you can't move, right? Why is it so important for you to remember this? Because when you go show a house to a potential buyer, sometimes there's stuff there. We're going to talk about fixtures later, like light fixtures, a chandelier, right? That might look like it's part of the house, but it really is not, right? So we need to know these differences and ask the seller or the selling agent, The listing agent, I'm sorry. Hey, is this included? Is that included? Can I keep the bed? Can I keep the table? Can I keep the chairs? Right? You need to ask these things. Knowing the differences is important. Yes.
Sales agent.
Mm-hmm.
Go to, I don't know in English the name. Era casa or
When they get the listing, yes.
the listing, okay. Ask, right? Not the chairs and tables, of course. But
Normally,
normally,
you should.
yeah, of course.
Do people do it? Sometimes no. They're so hungry for listings,
Okay.
so hungry for getting sellers that will sell because we need it in this market, that they go there and say, "Hey, sign here, and I'll take care of everything later." And then they forget to ask questions. Unfortunately, no, you are right.
Because
They should.
in Portugal, you can. I don't know. Eu trabalho para ti.
Okay, I'm the broker.
Okay, don't accept my. Don't accept.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, here, depending on your broker, again, just like depending on the agent, depending on your broker, if it's incomplete, if it doesn't come with all the forms that are required, right? We won't accept that listing. Go back.
I think it's not too much. You need to know, but your
No, it is.
client, if your customer like you,
I will right now, Manish.
she put in the list, but I'm going to see the house he put in the list.
Mm-hmm.
I never see the house. I see the house when I go, and I don't have this information.
Okay.
Like my client said, Susanna, if I buy the house, I can bring the challenges and
Chandelier, okay.
Said, I don't know.
Yeah, as a buyer's agent, or what we call selling agent, you would not know without asking. But yes, it's the listing agent's duty. So, Monifa, what the question was, when you go get a listing, aren't you supposed to know this stuff and relay that stuff to the potential buyer and buyer agent? Yeah, technically, technically no. The law says you have to. We're going to go over this later on in a different chapter. You have to disclose all the stuff. For you to disclose, that means you have to ask questions, right? So it is the listing agent's job. But if you're the buying agent, right, if you represent the buyer, shouldn't you also ask the question, even though it's not in the listing? If it doesn't say in the advertisement, then your job is also, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Listing Agent, my client is interested in buying the house as is, like with all the appliances, right? In fact, sometimes we do what's called staging a house. If the house is empty, we pay somebody to fill the house. So put the furniture, renting it for that purpose, right? If I really like the way it is, I'll put an offer with buying the furniture. But you have to ask the question, is the furniture included or not? Are the appliances included or not? I have a listing right now that the seller said 2 stoves are included. The house has 3 kitchens, right? Because it's a mother-daughter type of thing, and he has the regular kitchen, right? And he has a summer kitchen by the pool, and then he has a separate on the like I said, mother-daughter, right? So he has a separate side with another kitchen. And he said the stove that's in my main kitchen is not included. The other 2 are, because I just paid $1,500 for this stove. Right? Don't ask me which stove costs $1,500, okay?
Yeah.
But he paid $1,500 for it. It's special cooking. Let's put it like that. Yeah, you put it there and 2 seconds later it's done.
O que é suposto ficar quando o que é obrigatório na casa estar incluído? Exaustor? Nada?
We'll go over that. Different chapter. So she was just asking right now what has to be included in the sale. So we'll talk about that when we get to listings.
Okay.
Right now, what's important is knowing what goes with the house or not based on, is it real estate real property or personal property. So with that being said, there's 2 types of property that could be personal or real, and that's tangible or intangible. Tangible simply means touch. Tangible means touchable. Can I touch Sorry, let me make it smaller. Annoying me. My handwriting's already bad, and then the pen was thick. So, touchable. Can you touch it, right? That's the thing. So, touchable or untouchable. Why is this important? Because real property is always tangible. Real property, always tangible, is what we can touch, right? But personal property could be tangible, could be intangible. Personal property, right here, could be a boat, car, jewelry, a phone. These are things we can touch. Intangible personal property is a stock certificate, a contract, a patent. Why are these considered intangible? Because what is stock? Is it something that you can touch? No. What is a patent? A patent is a document that represents a product or something that you created, right? Represents something. A certificate represents stock, but it's not the stock itself. A contract represents the house you're about to buy, but the contract itself, right, is nothing. It's just a piece of paper that represents something else. Okay? So that's the difference. Tangible or intangible. Touchable or not. Okay? I can have a piece of paper to something that represents something that I cannot touch. Okay? You guys good with that? Thumbs up. Great. You guys here are good? Yeah? All right. Any questions? Just ask. Katya, you have your hand up on Zoom. Do you have a question? No? Okay. Let me bring your hand down. Seriously. Always interrupting my class. By the way, you know you can always come to class, right? She wrote here, I miss being in class. Why doesn't your hand go down? Oh, there you go. All right, cool. All right, next. Monifa says I'm funny. This is just the first day. You'll get tired of me by the third day. Don't worry. All right. Katya, I know, but I would be late. Okay. You wouldn't be the only one. Eric was the only one that was here on time, right? And then Francis decides to show up like 20 minutes later, and then Susanna's like, I got an hour. Don't worry about it. I'll get there eventually.
Okay.
Katya, 5:30 is perfect. All right. Real property rights. Real property rights. Guys, what is real property? I'm going to drill this so much over the next couple of weeks. What is real property? Real property. Okay. The house. Okay. What else? Right. Your own, something you own, right? I didn't get to rights. I'm just asking about what I have circled.
Everything.
Are you guys waiting on the ones that are here to answer? You know, you can answer too. If you want the microphone, I'll give you the mic. They don't have to hear what you say, but they can hear what I say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh, they cannot hear me. I'm like, that's fine, as long as you hear me. I was asking if they can hear me.
Okay.
All right, improvements to the land, improvement to the property. That's real estate. Exactly the reason why I ask questions. Improvement to land is real estate. I'm asking you what's real property. And you guys answered right. Just waiting on them to. Monifa said the house. Okay. Katya? Opposite. That's personal property. Movable is personal. Okay? All right. Philip says ownership of real estate and its rights. Great. So I didn't get to rights yet. That was the next question to ask. But real property itself is anything that's not movable. Anything that's not movable. Always remember that. Real property versus personal property. Real property is anything that's not movable. Like land, Monifa, right? Land is real property. Okay? Jose on YouTube says, the house, the land, anything tangible. Wait a moment there. Not anything tangible, because this is tangible as well. You're right about saying the house. You're right about saying the land. All right? Now, all real estate, or all real property, I'm sorry, is tangible. That's different. But personal property could also be tangible. All right? So that's the reason why I ask things again, to make sure we all understood. So what is real property? Is the house, the land, that's not movable. Okay? Not movable. What is real estate? Real estate is land plus anything built or any structure or improvements to land, as Philip was saying, right? That is real estate. There is a difference. Because real estate might not be my property, might be your property. Okay? It only becomes my property when I own it. And it's not movable, right? Something that's not movable. What about rights? What are rights? We just talked about this as well. Rights. What is a right to something? Rights. Bundle of cones? Ice cream cones? The bundle that comes with it. All right. Amira wrote possess. That's one of the rights. Right? One of the rights, correct. And Kati said the bundle that comes with it. A bundle of rights. But which rights do we have? The right to possess? What else? Without reading. Give me what you remember. Okay? Get that memory going. The owner has the right to encumber. Yes, which we're going to talk about later. Yes. What else? Amira wrote everything. You got transfer, use. There you go. You got right and left? Okay. I thought that's what you were saying. We got a right and we got a left. That's right. Right. These are the rights that we have to do something. Correct. Isn't English messed up? Right and right mean the same thing. Yep. All right, so we got these rights. The right to possess, the right to transfer, the right to use, the right to exclude, and the right to encumber. These are the rights, the bundle of rights that we have. Very good. So real property rights consist of the bundle of rights associated with owning a parcel of land. We have the right to use it, so we can do everything we want according to the law, right? So if I have farmland and they allow me to cultivate, if the city has nothing against it, I have the right to cultivate, right? My neighbor cannot come and say, hey, Bruno, stop. You cannot cultivate, right? If the city doesn't say no, then who are you to say no, right? It's my right, it's my property. To landscape, to build something on the property, right? Subject to limitations of local zoning, like I said. And doing things legally, too. It says right here, legality. I cannot cultivate just anything. Even though now in New Jersey it's okay, right? Some states still say easy with a cultivation, right? Some stuff cannot be done. The right to transfer. I can sell, lease, and so on. Monifa, I charge more for extra people on camera. I charge 3 times the value. I'm just messing with you. You don't have to move the camera. I was messing with you. I was talking to Monifa, and Gilbert goes like, let me try to adjust my camera. Gilbert, I still need you on camera, man. You always hiding, man. Terrible. If you guys are not on camera, your hours do not count. That's all I'm saying. Your hours do not count. If I'm on camera, you on camera. Simple. That's the rule. Manifa says he's just listening. Well, for listening, there's a $4.99 plus tax fee, okay? Per chapter. I forgot to mention that. All right. Huh? It's not much. All right. Right here. The right to encumber. So what does it mean to encumber? Okay. Weird word number one to remember. The right to encumber the property essentially means the right to mortgage the property as collateral for a debt. Okay? So getting financing against the house is to encumber the house. I call it a cloud. Okay? Cloud. Because when you have a cloud over you, right? Versus the sun over you, how do you feel? Doesn't a cloud, like if it's raining, right? If it's thundering, right? Doesn't it make you feel like down, lack of energy, right? Stops you from being you because you cannot go outside, because you cannot perform activities like going to the beach, getting into the water, maybe walking around with your kids, going to the park, right? So the cloud stops you from being you. Just like winter time, can you do the same things you do in spring or summer? No, right? So what the cloud does is limits you, right? Holds you back right? And takes away the full value. The reason why I'm saying this is because when we have a mortgage on the property, okay, a cloud or encumbrance is something that limits your property, the title to your property. If I have a mortgage right now on my house, I owe $500,000. I owe the bank $500,000, but the property is worth $300,000 because there was a market crash. Can I sell my house right now? If I owe $500,000 to the bank, I need to pay $500,000 to the bank, but the house is only worth $300,000. The value is $300,000. Can I sell the house right now? The answer is no. I cannot, because for me to sell, I need to pay back the bank. Right? For me to pay back the bank, I need to clear that cloud. I need to pay off the loan. Got it? So the loan limits your title, limits what you can do with the property. Gilbert just wrote a short sale. So for those of you, because we didn't get there yet, but for those of you that don't know what a short sale is, it's the bank allowing you to sell for less than what you owe the bank. But again, Gilbert, can I sell the property right now? I still need the bank's authorization, so I'm still limited on what I can do with the house. If I don't have a mortgage, can I sell the house for $1? If I don't owe any money to the bank, can I sell the house for $1? It's my house. If I want to, I can give it. Yes. But when there's a mortgage, right, and the property is the collateral, that means the property is encumbered with that limitation. Encumber is just the fact of covering and limiting what you can do with the property. Okay? Later on, we're going to learn the word clouded title. That's what it is. When there's something against the house, any debt, it could be the taxes. Taxes are an encumbrance. Yes. This is 20. 20 in the middle? He speaks Spanish, you can say. You could say in Portuguese, almost the same. Jose, we didn't get to that yet. We actually have a chapter just for encumbrances. But yes, liens are encumbrances, but there's other types of encumbrances. Okay, encumbrance is just anything that limits the property or the title to the property. Okay, but we're going to go over others. Liens, which is financial, like a mortgage, covers the property. Yes. We have the right to exclude somebody. And then we have this. The bundle of real property rights also applies separately to individual components like the air, surface, or subsurface. That means, guys, that we can sell water rights separate from anything else. I can sell you, for instance, if I own farmland, right, but I'm not a farmer, I can sell you the right to farm my property. That means I cannot use it. You're the only one with the right to do so. Okay? It's still my land, right? But I sold to you the right to farm. An oil company, I sold you the right to drill for oil on my property. It's still my property, but any oil found on the land belongs to the oil company. It's still my property, but any farming and any cultivation belongs to the farmer because I sold separate. You guys got it? All right? And here we go. Right at the bottom of page 20, we have surface rights, air rights, and subsurface rights. Okay? Eric, you got it? Okay. Well, if I'm confused, explain again. So I'm actually going to explain right now. It was a prelude to what I'm going to say right now. So surface rights, right, apply to real estate contained within the surface boundaries of the parcel. So this includes all natural things affixed to the ground, all improvements, and so on. What I can do is, let's say I own farmland, right? That's what I was explaining to you. This is my property right here. This is my property, okay? Where you see on the screen. What I can do is I can separate this. I'm not selling the land, but I'm selling the right to farm this area, okay? So I sold the right to farm, to cultivate. I sold it to somebody else. Again, I'm not a farmer, but I have a bunch of land. Let somebody else handle it. You can rent it to them, but you can also sell it to them. That means anything, Monifa, anything that grows in this area, belongs to who? To me? Can I claim it? No. The land is mine, but because I sold the rights to the farmer, right? Anything that's cultivated and grows on this land and sold for profit belongs to who? To the farmer. What do I get? Well, I got my little house here, and that's all I care about. That's it. All right? So you can sell rights separately. Or air rights. Air rights, have you guys ever noticed there's a town or cities actually, they have small buildings and then they got really, really tall buildings? Have you ever seen that before, Monifa? Right? Have you ever wondered why these two buildings are so small compared to that one tall building? Yep, skyscraper right there. That it's not subsurface; it's the air rights. We're going on this one. All right, Jersey City. What about New York? What about Chicago? Right? Really, really tall buildings, the skyscrapers. So the air rights means that this guy, developer A, paid property B and property C to stay down there. The max that they can go up is to this height. Okay? So I paid you, Eric, not to build above what I have. So that's it. You stay right there. Now, why would I pay for air rights? Anybody? Why would I pay for air rights? Marlon, the view. Exactly. I have the view. So I'm telling you, B and C, you cannot build anything above 100 feet, let's say. You cannot build anything above 100 feet because it will block my view, right? And that's why in New York, as an example, the taller you are, right, these units right here, the more expensive they are. So this is like $30 million, let's say $20 million, $15 million, and so on. These are very, very expensive because you're paying for the views. So the developer has enough money to say, B and C, stay down there, right, while I grow. You got it? So, Monifa, when we say that we can sell the rights separately, is exactly this. Did B and C stop owning their land? They didn't. What they stopped having is the right to build above their land, above that height. So they sold that separately. Okay? So that is air rights. Subsurface rights. Subsurface rights. Here's my house, right? And somewhere around here, there's oil underneath the land. Okay? Hey, Philip, I did not forget your question, okay? So under here, under my property, under the surface, so this is surface, under the property, there's oil. Look, I don't have the money to buy the machines to drill for oil. They're very expensive. And if I had the money to buy the machine, I also need something to store the oil or somewhere to store the oil. I don't have those tools. Okay? I don't have that money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the right to drill for oil. Okay? I'm selling the right to drill for oil. I still own the property. But the oil company has rights to all the oil that's found in the land, not me. You got it? Yes? Susanna? What didn't you get? You didn't get anything?
This no.
Subsurface.
No.
Subsurface is whatever's below the surface. So air rights above, surface rights is on the property, right? Subsurface, also known as mineral rights, is below. So these are below the surface. Okay, it's the same thing. If there's oil on below the level, yes, below the level. But oil, it could be coal, it could be gas, anything that's below that I'm not going to use. I sell you the right to come and dig for it. And if you find a coal on my property, that coal is yours. If you find oil on my property, that oil is yours. Okay? You got it? It's the same thing as saying farming. You can cultivate on my property. Whatever comes from it is yours. Here is just I said I don't have the money to drill for oil. Those machines are very expensive. So I sell to you the right to do so. Zoomers, do you have any questions on this? And YouTubers as well? Okay. So let me address Philip's question. So can he take those rights back once sold? The question is very simple. If I sell you my phone, Philip, if I sell you my phone, can I come tomorrow and say, hey, give me the phone back? Can I do that? I sold it to you. You have a receipt that says it's yours, right? Can I get it back? No. What I can do is purchase it back. You got it? What I can do is purchase back. I cannot get it back. I sold it to you. It's yours. The rights. So the only way for me to get it back is to purchase. Or if you, Philip, abandon it. If you abandon the rights, then maybe I can take it over. Katya, what about a partnership for whatever you're selling? That will be an agreement between both. Okay, so that partnership is an agreement. Instead of selling, let's share the profits of whatever's here. Right. Jose, can you lease a right? So you're asking me, if I sell you the right to drill for oil, can you lease it to somebody else? Is that what you're saying? No? If I can lease the right? No, I can either sell the right. Okay? Now, if I rent it to you, Jose on Zoom, not Jose on YouTube. This gets tough. I'm so glad, by the way, Jose on Zoom, I'm so glad you and Jose on YouTube were never there at the same time. Because then it will be Jose. And you guys already have one of those. He's a singer. Right, Eric? Jose? Anyway. Okay. So can you lease a right? Well, we're going to talk about that also. If you are my tenant, right? I'm going to call you Jose A, and YouTube, you're Jose E, okay? You're glad in the class now? Great. So, Jose A, if you become my tenant, right? And I say, hey, I'm renting you I'm renting you the space for farming only, okay? While you have a lease, a renting agreement, yes, you have the right to do that part. But I'm not renting you the right, I'm renting you the space and allowing you to do certain things with it. It's different than selling a right to it. Okay? If you sell a right, it's yours. If I lease it after a little bit of time, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, right? If it's a lease, I get it back, right? Because it's rental. Okay? If it's sold, and that's what we're talking about, selling rights, they are yours, not mine. I own the property, right? I own the property. You own the right to the oil, or you own the right to the views, or you own the right to farming. Okay? Okay? But I can also rent it to you, yes. As long as you're using the purpose of the lease and as long as you're also alive. Yep, we'll talk about leases as well. Jose E, I'll be there soon. Jose E, can the mineral rights be sold as part with a life estate clause? We didn't get to life estates yet. But can mineral rights be sold as a part? So remember one thing, mineral rights is anything below the surface. These are called subsurface or mineral rights, or mineral. Okay? So anything below the surface. Can I sell the subsurface rights to oil only? Yes. Can I sell subsurface rights to coal only, to gold only, to water under the land only? Yes. I don't have to sell, hey, anything below the land is yours. No. I have to be very specific of what I'm selling to you. As far as the life estate clause, we'll talk about it when we get to life estates. Sorry, I don't want to confuse the newbies because it's a lot of info. Philip, just to clarify, can you in fact lease a right? No, you're leasing a space. And while you're leasing it, while you're renting it, you have certain rights that come with it. Okay? But the thing is, you're leasing the space. The thing is, you get the space back. If I rent this space where I'm at to you, you're my tenant. You have the right to occupy the property, use the property. You understand? But after 1 year, the property comes back to me. So whatever rights you have are gone. Selling the right means I cannot interfere with your business ever unless you sell the property or the right back to me. Okay? You can even sell the right to somebody else. But the space is always mine. As a tenant, you rent space. Okay? And I'll give you certain rights in the space that you're renting. If I sell you the right, it's yours. Okay? That's the biggest difference. Got it? All right? Yes? No? Oh. There's no glass over here. All right. What about water rights? Look, if your property is by the water, right? If you have a house, a land by the water, or there's water in your land, right? Do you have rights to that water, or does that water belong to somebody else? It's yours? Hmm?
Inside?
If it's inside, it's yours, no matter what. Okay. What if I sold the right to the lake to Eric? And then later on, I sell the house to you. The land, the rest of the land, the deed. I transfer the property to you. Do you have the rights to the lake?
Wait.
If I sold the lake to Eric, then Eric is the only one that can use the lake.
Yeah.
Correct. But you were saying that if it's on your property, it's yours.
So, if I buy a property.
You bought my property.
Yeah.
That has a lake.
And you have a lake. Right? You sold it. It's mine.
No, because I already sold it to Eric.
Okay.
The lake.
So, just the lake. Okay. When you
She cannot take your rights, okay? Put your foot down. She cannot take your rights. Exactly. On the deed, it's supposed to show that someone else owns the right to the lake. So people should understand this stuff. Unfortunately, most people do not read. But the deed, which is the document that transfers ownership, says, you now own, Susanna, you now own a property, but Eric owns the rights to the lake. Okay. This is why title searches are so important, to figure out what is attached to the property or not. Okay? What water rights. It has to do with lakes and rivers and streams and everything that's attached to your property or on your property. So Jose just wrote riparian right. Jose, there's two rights. It's either riparian or littoral. Okay? So water rights have to do with the ownership and the use of water found in lakes, streams, rivers, and the ocean. In addition, they determine where the parcel boundaries can be fixed with respect to adjoining bodies of water. What water rights does an owner of a property that contains or joins a body of water enjoy? So again, what water is yours? Okay, and this all depends on whether the state controls the water. Some states own all the water. Whether the water is moving or if the water is navigable. For you to know if if the water is yours or not to use, you need to answer these 3 questions. Okay? So let's go with the first one. Does the state control the property? That's called doctrine of prior appropriation. So state controls water. Prior appropriation. State controls water. If you ever see this, it means that there's not enough water in the state. Not enough water. Because there's not enough water, they have to be very careful with how you use the water. So they own it, they control it. Okay? Right here. If the state does not operate under prior appropriation, then it operates in the common laws of littoral or riparian rights. Like state of New Jersey, we have littoral or riparian rights. Okay? We don't have prior appropriation. The state does not own the water. Okay? Only a few of the waters, and we'll talk about it another time. Say it again. The state of New Jersey does not own water. You have littoral rights or you have riparian rights. But some waters in New Jersey are controlled by the state. Okay? The majority is not. So what are littoral rights? When you see the word littoral, do you see that L right there? Littoral? There's L. L for lakes. Easy to remember. Littoral, lakes, and seas, and oceans. Right? This means we have non-moving body of water. Littoral rights has to do with non-moving water. So if on your property or by your property you have a lake, you might have littoral rights. If by your property you have an ocean, let's say your property ends at the ocean, you have littoral rights. Okay? Riparian rights, I'm going to move forward and come back to the image later, okay? On the next page, riparian rights, there's an R. Okay? And this has to do with rivers. Riparian rights, rivers, or anything with a stream. So if there's a waterway, then you have riparian rights. If it's a non-navigable stream. Okay? If it's a non-navigable stream, then you have water rights. These are called riparian rights. If you see something with moving water, a river, water stream, waterway, whatever, a creek, riparian rights. If it's non-moving water, let's go back up. If it's a non-moving water, yes, it's littoral rights. You guys good so far? If you guys are good so far.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's look at the figure right here. Littoral rights. What we're saying here it's very simple. You own property till here. This is your land. Okay? Now, if we have an ocean, we have high tide, right? And we have low tide. When the water is high, the high tide, right? The water's high. That's where your land ends, right there. You own land until there. That's it. Okay? So instead of ending here, it allows you to go a little bit more into the water. That's where your land ends. If you have an ocean. Okay? And that's different from riparian rights. If you go to the next page, whether you have rights or not depends on if you have a river that's navigable or if you have a river that's non-navigable. That's the difference. If it's navigable, your property ends right here. That's it. Your property is until this mark. Okay? Your neighbor's property is until this mark. And the public owns the river. Meaning, large boats can go through, commerce can go through, not a problem. So your property ends right there. Okay? If it's non-navigable, meaning you cannot go through, right? Then instead of ending here, your property extends all the way to the middle of the stream. So it ends right there in the middle. Okay? So instead of ending right here, like we had with the navigable river, you would end right there, right? Because it's not navigable, we own a little bit more water till the middle of the stream. So property A owns this property, A. Property B owns this property till the middle. Can I take water out? Since I own half of it, can I take water out? Can I put something that stops the water from flowing? No. I cannot change anything because I do not own the water. I own the land beneath the water till the middle. Okay? So if water disappears, my land is until the middle. That's it. Okay? The water's there. I can use the water until the middle. And my neighbor across the river can use the water until the middle. And that's it. You guys got it? Thumbs up? Great. Awesome. All right? So again, as long as you don't, the usage is reasonable, does not infringe on somebody else's rights, as long as you do not pollute the water or stop the water flow. All right? If you don't damage the water or other people's rights to the water, then you're good. All right, next page. We have real versus personal property. You guys already know this. Real property, immovable. Personal property, movable. But some personal property is attached to the house. Some real property is attached to the house. So when do you know what's attached? When do you know what's attached is yours or not, right? So these are called fixtures, and we need to know what's yours and what's not. So we're going to talk about that. The other thing we're going to talk about is trade fixtures. When you see the word trade fixtures, we're talking about business. When you see trade fixtures, we're talking about business. For instance, for me to conduct my business, I have two TVs over here. Instead of having a projector, I have two TVs. And then I have another one in the back where I see you guys at home, right? So these TVs are attached to the wall. Do they belong to the landlord? No, they're mine for business purposes. Okay? So when you see the word trade fixtures, trade has to do with business. Okay? Very, very important. Trade fixtures. All right. Now, again, it's very important for you to know the difference between these when you're listing a property or when you're bringing a buyer to buy the property, right? The primary criteria for distinguishing real from personal property is whether the item is permanently attached to the land or to structures attached to the land. Okay? For example, a tree growing in one's yard is an item of real property. Didn't we address that already? If it's a tree, it's nature, it's attached to the property, it's real property. Right? We good so far? Okay. What if I cut the tree down? Right? It was attached to the property, I cut it down, now the tree is what? It's garbage? It could be a Christmas tree. Movable. Yeah. The tree is now movable. Because it's movable, it's considered, Jose, thank you, and Marlon, personal property or chattel. Very good. So, when the tree was attached, it was real property. When we cut it out, it became personal property because it's movable and is not attached to the property. Very good. So when you cut the tree down, it becomes personal property. Similarly, a swimming pool pump on a shelf in the owner's garage is personal property. When you install it, it becomes real property. All right? And the concept is the same here. I have right here, I have a wall. But before this wall existed, it was sheetrock on the floor, right? It was 2x4s on the floor, right? It was wires on the floor. It was paint on the floor. While on the floor from the hardware store, Home Depot, till here, it's personal property. When we put it up, it becomes real property. Okay, you guys need to remember this. While movable, it's always, always, always personal. When it's fixed, that's when we need to figure out. So we need to figure out if the personal property is real estate or if it's personal. A personal property item that has been converted to real property by attachments is called a fixture. Okay? And these examples are chandeliers are fixtures, toilets are fixtures, water pumps are fixtures, septic tanks, window shutters. Okay? If you have a toilet, if you have a bathtub, if you have kitchen cabinets, these are not part of the house. Right? Because what is part of the house? Walls. The structure is the house, it's the building. Light fixtures are not structure. Okay? A bathtub, let me repeat again, is not a structure. A toilet is not a structure. These are things that are attached but could be removed. Right? Can I move a wall? Most likely not. Right? I can, if the architect allows me to move a wall without collapsing, right? Then yes, right? But a toilet you can remove, the building is not going to collapse, right? Kitchen cabinets you can remove, the building's not going to collapse. So if it's attached, these are fixtures. Anything attached, it's a fixture. It's fixed or affixed to the property. Okay? Attachment is a fixture. Attachment is a fixture. You know I could sell you a house without kitchen cabinets? I can sell you a house without a bathtub, without a toilet. Okay? Those are fixtures. Now, the owner of real property inherently owns all fixtures. So if I'm the owner of the property and you never removed it, seller, you never removed them, then these attachments are mine as the new owner. Okay? Simple as that. Now, fixtures. If they are not included in the sale, they must be itemized and excluded. As we said earlier, when Susanna was asking me, right? When we walk through the house, ask the seller, are the kitchen cabinets included? Is the chandelier included? Right? Are you going to change anything, or is there anything you want to take out of this this room? Ask questions, right? Sometimes I ask the question, guys. I ask the question when the room is empty, and people look at me like I got two heads. Like, there's nothing here. What do you mean I want to include or exclude something? There's nothing. Yes, there is. There's the drapes. I like the drapes. Are you including the drapes or no? There's wall-to-wall carpet. Is that included or is it going to be removed? You never know. People are crazy, right? Sell the house, get rid of it. Move on. It's going to cost you more to remove stuff to install somewhere else the majority of the times. So include it. Right? I'll even include my kids. Take them. They're expensive to move around. All right? The point is, realtors, right? You have to ask questions. What is included? What is excluded? So how do we figure out, more or less, what is a fixture? It depends on the intention. It depends on the adaptation. Right? It depends on functionality and relationship of the parties. Okay? So, how do we know what is a fixture? It's based on Maria. Make it simpler. Philip, I'm sorry, man. I can't work on your Wi-Fi. I'm too far. If you're losing connection, I don't know. Maybe try to get closer to your router or connect it directly to the router. I don't know. Okay. All right. So Maria, what is Maria? It's the method of attachment it's the relationship of the parties. It's the intention of the parties. I'm going to explain it all in a second. And the adaptation of the article. So these are the four things we're going to go over. Intention, adaptation, relationship, and of course the method of attachment. So Maria is, I love acronyms, by the way. Okay? So Maria is the intention. All right, let's go over intention. Was it my intention to make this a permanent part of the building? Was it my intention to make it a removable part of the building? Again, like these TVs on the wall, did I intend to leave it here? No. These are my TVs. Even though I got them all on a Cyber Monday special, doesn't mean I want to leave it behind, right? Jose, it's coming. I'll give you the break in a second. We're almost done. Jose is like, oh, I'm getting drained. Got my headache already. So that's the intention. The adaptation is by placing this here, did it become uniquely adapted? Like if I take it out, is it going to change the value of the property or the structure of the property? That's the adaptation. Okay. The functionality. Is it vital to the operation of the building? So like if I have air conditioners, right? If I have air conditioners, if I remove it, what's going to happen? Does it affect the function of the building, right? And the relationship of the parties. So was it the business and I could remove? Was it a tenant, regular tenant with authorization to remove? Or it was from the seller to the buyer? Can it be removed? Right? So these are the four things you need to remember when trying to figure out if a fixture goes with a house or not. The other side of it is always asking the question, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, do you intend to sell this? Do you intend to exclude this? Right? Ask the questions. All right? So that goes in the sale or lease provisions. As far as trade fixtures, I already told you, these are for business. If they're business, they're considered personal property. If they're personal property, just like everything else, I can take it with me as long as it's before the lease ends. And I'll go more in detail when we get to leases. Okay, I have a chapter just for that. Okay. Next page. Just a quick table here for you to know what's real property and what's personal property. By the way, some stuff that I'm skipping is because we have another chapter that goes more in detail, okay? Plus, I want to give Jose a 5-minute break. But 5 minutes only because he asked for it. Just 5 minutes. I was going to give you 10. Now it's just 5. So, real property, land, fixtures, attachments, or conversions by affixing something. Personal property, trade fixtures, emblements, or conversions by severance. Severance means cut. Okay, so sever or cut. Okay. Amir is like, can we get out early instead of having a break? I prefer to give a break to reset your brain and go into the next chapter. All right. We're done. We're going to go over this in different chapters about areas of regulation. So federal, state, local, judicial. All right. So, but we'll go over that in a different chapter. On page 27, you have a quick summary of these. What does federal do? What does state do? Local municipalities and so on. All right? But again, more detail in a different chapter. All right, guys. So we're going to go into a quick, very, very quick 5-minute break because Jose only asked for 5 and nobody else complained about it. So it's now 8:02. You know what? 8:10. I'll give you 2 more minutes on that. 3 more minutes. 8:10, we're going to get back. Same link if you get out. Just come right back in. YouTubers, I'm going to close this session and I'll open one right after. All right, guys? See you in a bit.